Okay, so I'm going to do a series of videos about the ecology section, which is, I think, Unit 4 in your book. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is simply the vocabulary that's involved. Ecology unit is one of their favorites for asking for straight up definitions of different terms. And I noticed, I think on the February mock, that there were several of you who struggled with this. So the first thing that I want you to be able to define is an ecosystem itself. All right. So an ecosystem is basically all both living and non-living parts of an environment and how they interact together. All right. And instead of saying living and non-living, you can say that, but the correct term is to talk about the biotic and abiotic factors. So all biotic and abiotic parts or factors in an area. So biotic factors means both all of the plants and all the animals, so all the flora and fauna, okay, that live in an area. And abiotic factors would be things like water availability, the temperature or the climate, the amount of sunlight something gets, light or water availability. Oops. All right. And trying to think what else. Soil. So soil pH or the nutrient availability, which minerals and ions are available within the soil. Yeah. Okay. So those are going to be abiotic things. Biotic are simply animals and plants. All right. So that's an ecosystem. The other thing they can ask about is they could also ask about biotic and abiotic factors. You can get asked about a habitat. All right. A habitat is literally just the place where an organism lives. Okay. So it can be a tree, it can be the muddy bank of a pond or a river, it can be out in the open grasslands, but this is where an organism lives. Right. And then the other thing you can hear is a population. And you need to make sure that you understand the difference between a population and a community. All right. So a population is all organisms of a certain species. Okay. So all individuals from a certain specific species that are present within a certain ecosystem. And so we talk about, think about it, right? If you talk about the population of Canton Zurich, you're not talking about all of the animals that are there. You're talking about all of the humans that are there, right? How many humans, we are a species, live in this canton, all right? So it's the same idea. If I talk about the population of, I don't know, of pine trees in Glacier National Park, I'm talking about how many pine trees there are within that ecosystem of only pine trees, all right? So of a certain species in an area, and that is as opposed to a community. All right, so a community, can you see this? Maybe screwed up some there. All right, a community is all populations taken together, right? So if I'm talking about the population of fir trees in Glacier National Park, then that's how many of the specific species of fir trees there are. If I'm talking about the community present in Glacier National Park, I'm talking about the fir trees, the animals, the wolves, the mice, the deer, the owls, as well as the trees and the bushes and all those kinds of things. All right. So this is the population. This is basically all populations. So all organisms of all species. Basically, it's all of the biotic factors is another way you could think about it, okay? Found in an ecosystem at a certain time. Okay, and both of these should have at a certain time added in. And the reason that that is important is because you can imagine that perhaps during the winter there are I don't know, fewer deer around because they've migrated elsewhere. Or during the summer, maybe there's more ducks around because they've all flown back from being south, um, wherever they were for the winter. Okay, so the certain time is an important part of that. All right, so these are kind of the basic definitions that you have for ecology.